Hello, welcome to my first video on my new YouTube channel. I'll jump right into it. Catholic apologetics is hard, and Christian theology is just so vast and interwoven that it's really hard to know where to start, or even if you have started, how to get a good grasp on what you're learning about. And most people aren't going to go off and study theology at a university and get a theology degree or go to seminary to learn about different concepts or to discern the priesthood, what have you. Um, Most people, well, maybe I shouldn't say most, many people like me are going to watch YouTube videos or read books. Um, and these are great ways to learn about the Catholic faith, about theology, philosophy. Um, but the problem with this informal learning structure, especially with YouTube, is that it's hard to process and retain the information presented in a detailed video. After watching a YouTube video, there immediately pops up um, 20 different videos to watch following the one you just finished. And if you're not pausing the video every 10 seconds and maybe making a note on a video that's a great video, highly detailed, then a lot of the time, information is just going to flow in one ear and out the other. Um, at least that's how it works with me. Um, and yes, Christianity, in terms of its intellectual tradition, is very vast, interwoven, complicated. I think we can agree on this no matter where you're at. Um, and this learning and processing problem, again, without a formal education framework of a university, um, this problem is made worse by social media, admittedly, YouTube, um, because they don't enforce retention and an actual good understanding of material. No one's quizzing you after a YouTube video. Okay, what was this concept about? Explain this in your own words, things like that. Okay. Before I get to the meat of what I have to say, I want to clarify. In my experience, many of the great Catholics, Christians that I know, if I ask them a detailed question on the nature of the Trinity, they're not going to give a super, a 30-minute explanation informed by church history on the nature of the Trinity, of um, the two natures and wills of Christ. And most of these people that I know are just simply living loving, charitable Christian lives. And being able to explain, exactly how the Mass is a sacrifice is not a requirement of being a good Catholic Christian. That being said, back to my own experience. First of all, who am I? My name is Finn. I am 24, and I am what is commonly referred to as a cradle Catholic. I have always loved learning about the history of the church, theological and philosophical concepts, all that great stuff. At the same time, I have always struggled to internalize, retain, and actually process learned uh, information learned in a YouTube video or in a book. Um, and it's often when I'm asked in the moment to explain a concept that I realize that, even though I might have watched this video or even read a book about a certain subject, a lot of that information, like I said earlier, just in one ear, out the other, because again, I'm not being challenged by YouTube to actually test my understanding of a highly informative, educational, theological video. Um, and it's hard to explain because it's hard. And it doesn't help that despite, the rich history and all of these complex interwoven topics, a lot of the questions floating around YouTube right now are framed as simple questions, and when in reality they're not simple at all. And all these questions do is serve to sort of muddy the waters, in my opinion. A good example of this is the question, classic: How do you believe that you are saved? Okay, think about that for more than 2 seconds. It is a very loaded and emotional question that is being framed as a simple question. But if you stop and think about it for, again, 2 seconds, it's not a very simple question at all. And I dare say it might be one of the most complex questions a Christian of one tradition can ask a Christian of a different tradition. Why is that? Because in reality, just underneath the surface of this question is sort of almost the epitome and culmination of 2,000 years of history, of church history, and the entire history of humanity. And at the end of the day, what this question is really asking is, who are we? Why are we here? Why are we the way that we are? And what is the meaning of life? That's, in my opinion, what this question is really asking underneath the surface. And that's not even going into a lot of the implied premises that are attached to this question, because the asker of this question is most likely assuming that the person that they're asking already shares their theology of original sin, the atonement, the nature of grace, faith, justice, and more. Because, like I said, this question is basically asking you to summarize all of salvation history, all of the deposit of faith, in your own words, on the spot. And I brought this all up just as an example of the complexity and interwovenness of the ideas behind some of these questions. So back to my original statement: apologetics is hard, and it's not for everyone. But what if we could try and make it a little bit easier? Solution time. I am about to solve the problem of complex apologetics, reconcile everyone to the one true church, and heal all schism. Okay. If you couldn't tell, that was a joke. But I do have an idea that can help. So I went to college to study software engineering. And so by nature, I am inclined to think that every problem of the modern world can be solved with an app. And before you click off this video, because you are now realizing that this is a giant ad, don't, because I don't even have the app yet. I'm not trying to sell you on something. And the reason that I'm making this video in the first place is because this app idea that I have in my head depends not entirely, but in a very big way on community engagement. Okay, so that's a big claim. I can make an app that's going to help with all of these complex topics. Let me clarify. Back to apologetics being hard for a second. There are, I'm sure you're aware of if you're watching this video, amazing Catholic apologists on YouTube, writing books and more, but especially YouTube, which is my favorite medium for consuming theological and philosophical content. And I am not, I repeat, I am not one of them. This channel is not an apologetics channel. So if you are already typing out a comment, just go to someone else's channel. This is not an apologetics channel. This is, yeah, but it's just not what this is. Um, okay, as I mentioned at the beginning, just because you consume content, watch a YouTube video, read a book, does not mean you're actually understanding the information presented. Um, and without a formal education framework, do-it-yourself theology is kind of hard. Um, on top of that, trying to make do-it-yourself theology a one-size-fits-all model is flawed, in my opinion. Everyone has their own faith journey, their own favorite ways of explaining theology, etc. And so, well, that brings me to the name of the app that I have in mind, which is The Window. That's the name of this channel, um, the name of this app, hopefully someday. And boom. No. Boom. The metaphor is this: the Catholic faith is like a beautiful stained window, stained glass window. And to some on the outside of the church, the window might look dull and gray. If you ever looked at a stained glass window from the outside of a church, it doesn't look all that pretty. And everyone knows that on the inside of the church, that is where the true beauty of the stained glass window is um, revealed. Um, and on the inside of the church, everyone has their own experience with that window. Um, they might be sitting in a different place than you. They might be sitting up close, and so they can, focus on one particular aspect of the window. Or someone else might be sitting far away, where they can really um, take in the completeness and beauty in its entirety. But it's one and the same window, and that's what this app will be trying to encapsulate, if that makes sense. Um, so bottom line, okay, I want for this app idea, I want this app to encourage the retention of whatever subject that you are interested in. Everyone has their own interests, different creators, authors that they like. I am not an apologist. I'm not interested in telling you what content to watch or how to think. Um, but I am interested in making something that can guide someone in their own natural, organic journey with the Catholic faith, um, and helping that person really retain the information from whatever content that they're interested in. Because if they're watching um, a Trent Horn or Joe Heschmeyer video, they're probably wanting to learn something. Um, and this app is hopefully going to help do that. Okay, so how? Um, the central characteristic of the app is how community driven. I already mentioned this. I believe this app necessarily has to be, because, like I said earlier, a one size fits all solution is flawed, in my opinion. Um, so I want to start building a community with this YouTube video channel, um, that is essentially going to be the community of the app, where this app sort of functions as a library, where all the books of the library are um, submitted by the people that like to study, that like to learn. Um, and I find myself watching far too much Catholic YouTube, but I don't know. I feel like I only scratch the surface of knowing good creators, good videos. I've only seen a small subset of the great videos that people are making out there nowadays. Um, so, how does this app work? No, this is not going to be a new Catholic Reddit. Go to r/Catholicism. It is chaos. Um, I envision this app as something a bit more structured. So how does that work? To start to grasp the idea, let's take a look at Quizlet. You might be familiar with it. It's a tool that I have used many times throughout both high school and college. And when you think about it, there's beauty in the simplicity of something like Quizlet. Um, and of course, Quizlet is just an online flashcard thing. So there's beauty in the simplicity of a flashcard. Um, it is the nature of a flashcard that enables easy repetition and retention of information. I can almost guarantee that everyone watching this video has used, if not Quizlet, a flashcard before. If I say to you, what is the powerhouse of the cell? What word immediately jumps into your mind? And how is it that you knew the answer off the top of your head with no effort? Repetition for easy retention. Now, you would have no problem bringing up in casual conversation that, yes, mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Why should it be any different with our faith? Now on to something a little bit different. The Summa by St. Thomas Aquinas. If you're completely unfamiliar with it, that's okay. But if you consider the format of the Summa in its question, objection, answer format, and you kind of squint your eyes a little bit, it almost resembles something that can be put on a flashcard. And this is complex stuff. It's the Summa. But it's basically trying to uncomplicate all of these interwoven concepts the best it can. And of course, St. Thomas Aquinas is a master at this. But the entire meal, if you will, of the contemporary Aquinas's contemporary theological framework is broken down into maybe not bite-sized, but mouthfuls at a time. And essentially, this is what this idea, the window, will be trying to do. It will be attempting to give order and give a framework to all of the content of the Catholic world. Take a video by Joe Heschmeyer, for example. I think he does a fantastic job of presenting logical arguments. Many of them he gives premises and conclusions. So it's already structured in a sort of logical format. But as you're watching the video, again, some information might be going in one ear, out the other, even if in the moment you're like, wow, that is a really great insight. So all that's needed is for some of that content, maybe that point that you really like, to be put onto paper, or in this case, a digital flashcard. So take this hypothetical scenario. I like this video. I want to add this video to my window, because that's sort of what I envision this app being. There's a sort of global library of all of this content, but I can add particular pieces of content to that library, and I can now make flashcards for it, or maybe a short summary or something like that. And when you're doing this, what you're really doing is you're building a library for yourself that now you can visualize in a way, start to visualize the sort of invisible strings that are connecting all of these complicated ideas, because you're going to have a library for yourself. And by adding a resource to the library of the window, you're going to be, obviously it's not the window's content, because for this video, it's Joe Heschmeyer's video. But you can start adding insights and flashcards to those videos. in a way that is an organized framework. And now you have a personalized library of concepts broken down into bite-sized concepts that you can then use in a similar way during your day as flashcards to train yourself in Catholic theology. Boom. Um, so that's the general idea. Um, Now, if you are a Catholic content creator, um, I do want to show extra special treatment to any flashcards or summaries you create and attach to your own resources. Because again, the window is not going to be owning all of these YouTube videos or books that are being added to it. But if you want to add flashcards to your video to help your audience to really understand and help train themselves in your argument that you're presenting, perhaps presenting very well, um, then this is also for you because it helps you maximize engagement, and really just helps your audience be um, better receptacles of information, I guess. And I think that this app will naturally shine light through the most uh, the most valuable sources of content on a particular subject. And something like this would only encourage the creation of better content packed with beautiful detail in the future. Um, that was pretty much it. If an app like this only serves a small minority of people or even just me, I still want to do it. This is something that I've been thinking about for a good couple years, but definitely in the last 2 months, it's been I, I I feel called to make this if I'm be honest. Um, and I don't want to paywall this either. So this isn't again. I'm not trying to sell you on anything. I'm trying to convince you that we need something like this. If someone comes along and steals this idea and does it better before I even get around to publishing it, great. But I do think that the Catholic world, particularly the laity, need a tool like this. Not everyone can go get that formal degree, but we can learn more about our faith and grow in relationship with Jesus Christ and his church. And I think that adding a layer of organization to that can only be a good thing. Um, Eventually, down the road, maybe more features can be added. There are already great apps to help with prayer life. There's Hallow, but in the future, I could add more features to this. But I always want the core of this app, the window, to remain free to people, because I believe in the thesis. I believe that learning about the truth and beauty of the Catholic faith will encourage us to be more reverent. And I have personal experience with this. I just finished Dr. Scott Hahn's books, The Lamb's Supper and The Fourth Cup. And I mentioned at the start of the video, I've been a Catholic all my life, but it's really encouraged me to grow in reverence for the Mass and what's really happening. So maybe down the road, the features can be expanded, but it's just me working on this app right now as a personal project, and we'll see where it goes. So what will this channel become going forward? Well, it's kind of what this video is about. I'm hoping to live stream the entire development process of this app for the purpose of trying to build that community that when this app launches, it will launch with a running start, with people that maybe have contributed with ideas, suggestions. But yeah, that's what this channel is for. That's what this video has been about. And yeah, please subscribe to this video, turn on the notifications to be notified when I go live. I will be streaming to both YouTube and Twitch. Feel free to leave comments on this and any other videos. Tell me your thoughts. If you just want to learn a little bit of coding from a Catholic with a software engineering degree, feel free to stop into a stream. If you want to sit silently in a live stream and watch this process unfold, you're most welcome. If you are so inclined, I recommend I created a Discord server that you can join down in the description. And come make suggestions. Leave a comment there. I'll be paying attention to it. If you just want to tell me how terrible my idea is, I guess you could do that. I'll likely provide streaming details in that Discord server. I'll try to schedule. I won't have a very regular schedule. This is a personal project, and I do have a day job. um, so with it being just a passion project, the more support I get for this app, the more time I can dedicate towards it. So if you really like this idea, let me know, either by a comment or by a donation, and we'll see if this can really take off. I don't know how long it will take for YouTube memberships or Twitch subscriptions to be available. I'm pretty new to this, but subscribing, leaving a like, and a comment are all free and will really help this take off. I have, as I said before, I have no future plans to monetize the core of the window itself. Even though I might add more features later on that might lend themselves more to monetization, we'll see. But the mission of this channel and of the window is to sort of provide a framework to this disconnected YouTube book world that we now live in, so that we can all become better informed Christians, and we will let that knowledge inform our faith in a way that grows our relationship with Christ. So I have a donation link below, separate from YouTube. If you want to show your support, fund the development, stop into a stream, share this video, send awareness, and maybe one day I can make this my full-time job. We'll see. That would be the dream. Thank you, and God bless.